Serious, what secret could destroy your life if it got out? I hit a smallish lottery, few mil, a little while back and told absolutely no one, family and friends included. I took a bunch of steps to secure my kids' futures and we live a very comfortable but not lavish life. I'm pretty generous with the people around me. I think that they just think I'm doing very well career-wise, or something illegal under the table. I justify it by thinking that if this was general knowledge amongst friends and family it would ruin relationships. My priority needed to be my kids. I have not paid income taxes in a decade. I don't get any withholding. I don't know how it got away from me like that. At this point I'm afraid to ask. I am employed by a company that allows people to work remotely. They only hire in specific states in the US. Not only do I not live in one of those states, I don't even live in the US. I am a US citizen but I'm currently not in the US, and it's because of this job and the crappy economy in the country I'm in I get to live a pretty damned lavish life. For every $1 it's worth about 600% more here because the currency is weak, getting weaker, and it's just cheap as crap to live here anyways. I've been working for months and I've had some close calls. I screwed up a couple of times and they questioned me about it. I had to lie. The fact that my brother, my father, and I know that my mom has been cheating on my dad for the past 3 years. It's a complicated situation. I occasionally, as in pretty much daily, go on Omegle and do rollerplays as a 25-year-old woman who's into being tied up. I'm an otherwise straight 22-year-old man and I have no idea what's wrong with me. I almost killed my sister years ago. She was about 3 and I was maybe 11 years old. I carried her to the terrace, 5 stories high including the ground floor, and like some dumb frick, I placed her at the edge of the terrace, above a barricade of sorts. There was nothing to protect her from falling, and directly below, 5 stories down, is a cemented path. I don't remember what was so important I had to do that. I left her dangling there, at death's edge. All I remember is, she was starting to sway backwards, towards the ground. Alarm bells started ringing in my head, so I ran and somehow managed to grab onto her just as she was about to fall. I felt my heart racing against my chest. I hugged her for a really long time, too afraid to let go. To this day, I haven't told her. She's 25 now, nor my mom. Even typing this still makes me nervous. That height, how a baby's body would have ended up splattered all over the hard cemented pathway. How I could be institutionalized. How my family would have disowned me. How I would have missed watching her grow up. Still haunts me. It developed an irrational fear in me of carrying babies around, even if I'm not the one carrying them, or even if there is no height involved. This might not ruin my life, but it could ruin someone else's. Well, here it goes. I was in an abusive relationship with my girlfriend when I was in high school. Everybody just thinks we were a bad couple, but it was far worse. It started off with little stuff like when someone made a joke about me she would laugh and it was no big deal, but pretty soon she found out that she could torment me as a way to make people laugh and like her. We were both semi-unpopular, and it just kept escalating to the point that at lunch I would just sit there with my head down on the table while she and her friends mocked me. She broke up with me a few times but I always took her back. Then came the first time that I tried to break up with her. She laughed and asked me why, and when I couldn't look her in the eye she hit me and told me to talk to her. I told her I didn't mean it and we just kept going on. Every once in a while, maybe once or twice a month, I would start to work up the balls to end it and she would hit me and ask where I would go and tell me that she was the hottest girl I could ever get. One time I told her we were done and she started shaking and crying, so I tried to give her a hug and she stabbed me in the arm with a pair of scissors and wouldn't stop crying and threatening me and herself until I agreed to wait. Eventually I hit puberty late in my junior year and became tall and strong enough to hold her down and stop her from hitting me. This really helped me mentally get out from under her thumb and I finally broke it off. We didn't talk and now I'm in college and life is grand, but I always wonder if my view of women was messed up by this. When I was about 11/12, the guy in the flat next door was a computer nerd type, and I got interested in learning a little, 1980-ish. To cut a long story short, he groomed me over a period of time. I found he had child pornography magazines and videos. It got as far as hugs and kisses, and then he tried to fill me up. That's the point at which my brain kicked into action and I legged it. I was intensely scared, ashamed, and somewhat retreated into myself. I realized my parents, and specifically my mother, knew something wasn't right in this odd child-adult relationship, and didn't act on their suspicions. That totally fricked with my mind and led to many years of confusion and introspection, and if I'm honest, some fricked up attitudes to people from myself. I told one girlfriend many years back, and she basically blanked it out, didn't want to discuss it, and made it fairly plain she wasn't sympathetic or could be of any help. I've managed to get past most of the issues around it, but I sometimes find myself watching TV films or documentaries where the grooming subject comes up and hits me again. Watching the Ray Donovan series brought it up, specifically where Bunchy has problems dealing with his past abuse. One scene I had to get up and leave the room before I went off and burst into tears in front of my wife. She paused it too so I wouldn't miss anything. I have gained some good things. I am quietly proud that I am assured of my sexuality, straight, without any difficulties in having gay friends. That could have gone very differently. I have a family, and have learned to be sociable, and have managed to create some level of trust with people. It still burns inside though at times. I have sort of accepted that it's something I will take with me to the grave. Well, I am from India and I have evidence to a 726.8 crore rupee scam that my former company did that basically robbed millions of students a chance at a good livelihood. I was put in the scam by the company, and when I said I will not and I resigned, the company told me that they will destroy my life if I made it public. I was 22 at that time and was scared. The owner of the company is related with police officers and literally they can screw my life easily, but not a single day goes by when I don't think about it. I can't stop myself from lying. Half the time I'll lie about things that don't matter and should have just told the truth for, but I can't stop myself from doing it. All the lies I've told, big and small, all catch up to at one point or another and are seriously damaging my life. My parents and brother don't trust me at all anymore because I've done some incredibly stupid things and lied about them. I've also had to do things or tell bigger lies to cover what started out as a little white lie. Other people around me that were caught me in a lie don't know how to act around me anymore. I know I need to stop and I am trying, but the more I try to stop doing it, the more I do it. This is slowly destroying my life and my relationship with my family, and there is nothing I can about it. A really good lifelong buddy of mine dropped out of college after 9/11 and joined the army. He completed 3 tours in Iraq, got married, had a kid. All was great for him. His mom was the type that was close to his friends because they reminded her of him while he was away, so us guys would take her out and keep her company, as a group. One day she called me up and asked to go out and have a drink. She found some pictures or whatever of her son and I from childhood and she couldn't wait to share. We meet up at a local watering hole for a couple drinks and a few laughs. She kept feeding me drinks, and before I could say that it was time for me to head out, she had her hands on me and was very forward. I admit it wasn't a decision that I was capable of making at that time, so I went with what felt good. We went back to my house and had some of the craziest eye-popping tantric, drunk, sex. My buddy died in Iraq a few months later and I am a horrible person. I failed out of college and didn't tell anyone. I lied about still being in school and pretended to go to classes. My parents still thought they were paying for my college. That is the worst part of this whole thing. I wasted 6 months and a good $5,000, if not more. How much I don't care about a lot of people in my life that like me. Co-workers, friends, family. There are a ton of them I just don't care for really, and I'm just civil with them for convenience. Some of them have done pretty nice things for me, and I am thankful, but there are still some I just don't really like that much. I used to not be like this. I used to try and maintain all the relationships. Now many old friends, people that live far away, I don't even make an effort, and I wonder if I ever cared at all. The weirdest part is in social situations. I'm really good at being friendly and feigning interest in people's life. I've been complimented on being a nice and genuine guy, but there's this resentment I have for many people in my life that I keep hidden. The only people I really care for are a few close friends, my immediate family, and my girlfriend. Other than that, I'd rather just be alone. I am emotionally numb. I always have to fake being happy or excited about things. I guess it kind of sucks because I'm not happy or unhappy, and the only time I'm considerate is when I'm doing something because I know something bad will happen and not because of guilt or a negative emotion of any kind. I sometimes wonder why I exist, but I don't delve too deeply because I just don't care. I have a cross-dressing fetish, but I'm completely straight. I have an incredibly supportive girlfriend who knows, but I don't think I could ever handle telling anyone else, and Lord only knows what would happen my small social life. When I was about 9, my oldest sister died, age 32, and her 2 kids came to live with us. I'm a surprise child, so all of my siblings are much older than me. My nephew and I shared a room. He was just a year younger than me, and around when I was 11 and he was 10, we started doing sexual things. Over the years, we started out dry humping with clothes on, then clothes off, then eventually I started performing oral on him. Around age 13 or 14 we started doing anal. I was always the bottom, nearly every night. When I went away for college at 18, we never did it again and haven't spoken of it since. In fact, I don't remember ever talking about it. One of us would just give our gesture to the other that we wanted to frick and went at it. I'm 21 now and am in the process of coming out as gay. He identifies as straight and is in a relationship, but I wonder all the time if it's just for a cover up. Anyways, we're the only 2 that know about it and I wouldn't dare tell anyone, not even my closest, most trustworthy, best friend. Sometimes I fear he might tell someone one day. Every single day I fantasize about getting on a plane, going far far away, and starting over. I'm just too afraid to do it. Been banging the babysitter for years. I know you think this is the best thing in the world right now, but consider this. They've been banging you for years and getting paid for it. I failed out of college after 2 years because I was lazy and I was drunk all the time. I then joined the Air Force and was kicked out because of a heart disease I didn't know about. I think about killing myself at least once a week. My fiance of 4 years broke up with me and I was so apathetic it didn't bother me. I just calmly collected my stuff and moved out. I can't sleep for more than 3 hours a day anymore. I'm not sure if I'm depressed or not. I just get up and go to work, then come home. I don't drink anymore, but I smoke almost a pack a day. I just turned 22, and according to a few doctors I'll be lucky to see 30. 40 will be a miracle not explainable by science. I'm going back to college in the fall, so at least before I go my family won't think I'm a total failure. Writing this actually made me cry. This is the first emotion I've had in almost a year. Thank you Reddit for letting me know I can still feel something. I've been living in my head for more than 30 years. As a child, I made some kind of fantasy world to escape from my miserable childhood and I never fully returned to the real world. I never got a proper education, since I can't concentrate more than a couple of hours before I get distracted and return to my other reality, and I have lost several jobs because I'm not paying attention. I don't have any kind of social life and generally prefer to just sit in the dark and dream my life away. My sister was sexually assaulted by my cousin when we were all young. That came out and it took years to get over it all, and now we are on a level ground again. The thing that nobody knows is that he sexually assaulted me as well. Nobody can know as it will tear apart my family. Every single day I think about killing myself. How great it would be. All my problems gone in an instant. Now, I am in therapy for depression. But I don't share those thoughts for fear of being institutionalized, even briefly, as a danger to myself. I don't think I'm a danger to myself. I've had those thoughts for quite a while without swallowing pills or a shotgun, so. Okay, so I cry just about every night because of my financial standings. I feel like a failure. I work as a line cook making minimum wage and hardly have any money for groceries or for anything personal in my life. I've gone hungry. I've gone without power water. I most of the times feel like my life is worthless. But they say money can't buy happiness, but I can freaking guarantee that if I had some I wouldn't feel the way I do most nights when I lay down. I used to crap my pants until I was like 13. I had no control of my bowels. My mother knew, but that was about it. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened if my fellow students found out. My first girlfriend was really the love of my life. She was the only person that was ever able to finish my sentences, and we bonded over sort of a mutual disdain for the world we lived in. I knew her psyche was fragile and I literally gave her a reason to live while she was institutionalized. We broke up and she committed suicide. Or at least that's what I tell people. In reality, I cheated on her and she destroyed herself. She burned holes through her skin hundreds of times, sliced dozens of cuts through her body and face, and threw herself off a bridge. I can't even imagine what someone will think if I ever said those things. I've only told a couple people that it even happened, but as far as the details, I probably should do so, but I just can't face that. When I was about 13, I was discovering my sexuality and jacking off every day to twice a day. I was so curious about having my dong being touched by someone else that one day I asked my little brother, who was 9 years old. It was kinda awkward. He didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know it was so wrong and so creepy. I remember every little detail of the shameful moment. My CM dripping on my little brother's hand. I wasn't attracted by my little brother, I was just curious about getting a handy by someone else, and he was the only person which could accept to do it. It happened only one time. We never spoke about it. Now I'm 21 and he's 17. We have a wonderful relationship. He's my best friend. We laugh every time we see each other. I think maybe it would be good to get it off my chest, and maybe his too, and tell him that I don't want to ruin what we have now. I don't want him to see me as an abusive big brother or even think I might be. It was a child mistake. I didn't know. I sincerely hope he doesn't remember a thing. I'm in middle of a divorce and the only way I've survived taking care of myself and my daughter is prostituting myself this last year. My family would completely disown me if they knew. My ex barely helps as it is. If he knew I had any sort of money, he would use it as a reason to help me even less. That I enjoy peeing in the sink when I am home alone because it feels sort of taboo. Well, here goes. Well, when I was younger I had a friend, let's call her Amanda. Well, we were at a park and across the street there was a building planned for demolition. Anyway, the genius in me had a great idea to go in it and check it out. As we were exploring, the floor caved and she fell down 2 stories and landed on some debris and was injured. While I caught myself on the first floor, she didn't make it past the first day in the hospital. I'm still haunted by the screams and the begging. Every year I have a little memorial to myself. I still blame myself for killing her. It doesn't get any easier as more time passes by. After this I slowly started to dull out feelings. Now I can't seem to care at all. It's caused me to try and kill myself multiple times, and every time I tell my friends they don't actually believe that I tried. They all ignore that and say to stop joking about that stuff, but they'll never know the truth. One day I hope she will forgive me. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.